Hey there, Tens. I realize in class that you may have been very confused with the technique, so I thought I'd just get straight to the point in this video is to show you how to sketch using the quadratic formula. Okay, normally this is not the approach I do, but I'm going to do it. And you can use a calculator here since they said round the x-intercepts to 2 decimal places. So here we go. Let's do the first one. We've got y is equal to 2x squared plus 8x minus 5. Now to sketch a graph, right? To sketch a graph, you always need three things. You need 1, the y-intercept. 2, you need the turning point. And 3, you need the x-intercept. Okay? Now in exercise 7E, they're relying on just formulas here. So the first one, y-intercept. You know that to find the y-intercept, you let x equals 0. And that's the easiest one to find because we know that the equation y equals 2x squared plus 8x minus 5, if you sub 0 in, essentially this will cancel out and you end up with just negative 5. So really, the y-intercept would then be y equals negative 5. So you got when x is 0, y is going to be negative 5. So you already got the y-intercept. That is now checked off. To do your turning point, there is a formula they give you. The turning point, which is an x and a y coordinate, there is a formula to find the x coordinate. And that is x equals negative b over 2a. Okay? Now that requires you to understand what is a, b, and c. Well, a is the number in front of x squared, so a equals 2. B is the number in front of x, so that's equal to 8. And then c, which is the number by itself, which is negative 5. So make sure the signs are there as well. And so if I answer the question, negative b, which is negative 8 divided by 2 times 2, because a is 2, and then that becomes negative 8 divided by 4, which is, what's negative 8 divided by 4? That's negative 2. Okay, so that tells me I now know my turning point. Therefore, my turning point is at negative 2, and I don't know what y coordinate is. And all I have to do now is I substitute sub x equals negative 2 into the equation they gave you. The equation was y is equal to 2x squared plus 8x minus 5, right? So you're just going to substitute negative 2 in. So x equals negative 2, sub it into x to find y. So it becomes 2 times negative 2 squared plus 8 times negative 2 minus 5. And note, you can do this on a calculator as well. I might as well just use a calculator since I'm here. Add a calculator. And what were we doing again? We were doing, essentially doing, what's that? 2 times negative 2 squared plus 8 times negative 2 minus 5, and that gives you negative 13. So using a calculator, that gives you negative 13. Therefore, you've got the answer as turning point is at negative 2, negative 13. There you go. Now you've got your turning point done as well. So you got y-intercept, turning point done, and the last one to do, which is arguably the hardest one, the longest one to do, is your x-intercept. Okay? Now, to find your x-intercept, normally you say let y equal to 0, correct? Okay, and that will give you the equation which you started off with was 2x squared plus 8x minus, was it plus 8x? Yeah, minus 5. If you're saying y is equal to 0, you need to solve this. 0 is equal to 2x squared plus 8x minus 5. And again, we already know that a is 2, b is equal to 8, and c equals negative 5. So all you have to do is use the formula, which is called the quadratic formula, is x equals negative b plus minus square root b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Now, if you type that in your calculator, you'll get your answer. So we fill it in. It's negative 8 plus minus square root, and you've got negative 8 squared minus 4 times a, which is 2, times c, which is negative 5, yeah, negative 5, divided by 2 times a, which is 2. Okay, now in class I did this by hand, but you can type in your calculator. So grab out your calculator. Here we go, control divide gives me the fraction. I got negative 8, and don't worry about the plus minus right now. Let's just do it individually. Let's do plus, and we got square root of negative, so brackets negative 8 squared minus 4 bracket, bracket 2, close brackets, open brackets, negative 5, so we're timesing them all together, and then 2 bracket 2. All right, so if I press enter, I get root 26 minus 4 on 2, but remember, I did just the plus. I only did the plus. I need to do the minus now. So let's do the minus version of that. So what you can do instead of retyping it, press the arrow button, press up. It highlights it once. Press up again, and you get the second highlight here. Once you're there, press enter. So the enter button, which is over here, and it brings it down, and then you can edit it again. So I'm going to edit it to minus now. So minus, and then you press enter. And what you can see there, if you expand the brackets, so x is either equal to, let me just do that again, x is equal to this. This is one possible answer. Or x can equal to, now notice if you expand the brackets, negative of root 26 is negative root 26. And then negative of the positive 4 is negative 4 all over 2. So you can see that the answer is actually quite similar. They both have a negative 4. They both have a 2, but the only difference between the two is that one's a positive root 26 and one's a negative root 26. And that's my two x-intercepts. So once you've done that, that's pretty much it. You've now got your x-intercept, y-intercept, and turning point, and you can now sketch. So if you were to sketch, let's sketch it here. So I'm going to just do axes, red. You don't have to be too accurate. You just need to label the points correctly. So if you were to sketch this now, y and x, here we go. Y-intercept was at, where was it again? It was, let me highlight it, 0, negative 5. Your turning point was at negative 2, negative 13, and then your two x-intercepts are here, right? So if I fill them in, here we go. I'm just going to use a pink one. Y-intercept is 0, negative 5, so it's down here, 0, negative 5. Just do an estimate. And then the turning point is at negative 2, negative 13. So negative 2, let's say around here. So that's negative 2. And negative 13 tells me that it's probably going to go further down. So say negative 13 is around here. So your turning point must be over here. This is your turning point. That is now at negative 2, negative 13. And you can tell this is a positive graph because the number in front of what you're squaring, so this is the x squared, right? The number is a is positive 2. So if it's positive 2, you know it's a smiley face. If it's negative 2, it would have been a frown. So it's a smiley face, and that means you have to draw the graph that looks something like this. So that tells me that one of the x-intercepts is obviously going to be positive, and then one of the x-intercepts has to be negative. And so you just got to figure out, well, which one's bigger? Is it negative 4 plus the root 26 on 2, or is negative 4 minus root 26 on 2? All I did was I just swapped these two over just so you can visualize it. So is negative 4 plus root 26 bigger than negative 4 minus root 26? Which one's bigger? Because if you know which one's bigger, you can plop it over here. Now, if you didn't know, you can use your calculator as well. You can actually just figure out which one's bigger if you didn't know. That's press Control Enter. So if you press Control and Enter, you get the decimal version. And then if you went up here and press Control Enter again, you can see that obviously the negative version was going to be a negative answer. And then the positive version of root 26 is going to give you a positive X answer. So I know straight away, that means this one has to be negative 4 plus root 26 all over 2. And that's when y is 0. And then obviously this coordinate over here will have to be negative 4 minus root 26 all over 2. And x is 0. And there you go. So that's how you get your 3 marks. 1 for any axis intercepts, which I've labeled them both. I've got the both x and y. 2, turning point. Yes, I have a turning point. And then lastly is the shape of the graph, which I've drawn correctly. It's a smiley shape. And as long as it looks relatively good, then you get your 3 marks there. But that's how you do it. Okay. Normally I don't do quadratic formula. I normally do completing the square. So I merge between exercise 7D and 7E is what I do. Okay. But for you guys, sorry, not 7E, 7D and 7C is all I use. 7E I don't normally use. I don't use a quadratic unless I really have to. But most times I avoid it just because, you know, you need a calculator and all that. I don't like squaring, so I don't do that. And if I do the completeness square, I don't have to use this formula as well, which saves me less time to substitute and all that. So I highly recommend C and D, but that's how you do 7E. If you'd like me to do more examples, I'm more than happy to pick another one, or just let me know which one you'd like me to do, and I'll do the same thing again. Find y-intercept, find turning point, find x-intercept, and that's how you do the sketching of your graph using quadratic formula. Okay, I just realized it told me to round to 2 decimal places, so I probably should have rounded this to, what's that, 0.55, and then this should have been negative 4.55. There you go. You would have got your answer. Okay.